cured my skin. Now nothing gets in, nothing that is hard as it tries. You want a woman cause you want to be safe. Well, I tell you that I got a little lot on my grave. You want a woman who will call your name. It ain't me, babe.
Laura Marling is a British singer-songwriter from Reading. She's generally considered to be folk, although she kind of crosses over a little bit. She was in the initial lineup of Noah and the Whale, and she was featured on their first album, but she left them before the album was released. She's also had connections to Mumford and Sons, the band. But she's pretty much known for her solo career. Her first solo album came out in 2008. She's had several albums since then, and she's had huge critical acclaim. So I'll try and keep this short. I think I've got quite a lot to say, so I'll try not to waffle, which is what I am already doing. The first thing I want to talk about is my review process. I don't always follow this, but as a general thing, especially for an album that I don't know or an artist that I'm not particularly aware of, which usually means an album that I don't know as well, I try and listen once blind without looking up any information, and then look some stuff up and then listen again. So I've got an out of context listen and an in context listen. I'll sometimes often try and listen to them in different settings as well. So I listen quite a bit whilst I'm driving in the car. I also listen on headphones whilst I'm doing other things, and sometimes just listen through the laptop speakers. And albums sound different depending on how you're listening to them, so this can be useful. The reason why I'm telling you this is because the information that you've just had earlier in this video about who Laura Marling is things that I did not know when I first started to listen to the album. My first listen to the album, I got a completely different impression of who she was or who she might be. I sometimes try and guess as to what I think might be going on, or what the background is for this. And my guess for this album was that it was somewhere between 1968 and maybe 1973, and that she was from the west coast of America, maybe San Francisco. And she kind of reminded me of stuff like Carole King and Joni Mitchell, but maybe a little bit darker than them. So actually, obviously, when I found out that she was British and much more contemporary, I was quite surprised. Um, and I think it speaks to this album having a really timeless quality to it. The ways of playing the guitar seem quite the sort of thing that would have been done towards the end of the hippie era, and the coming out of psychedelia, and the kind of acoustic folk around that time. This sort of approach, I thought was more likely to be then. So I'm pleased that something like this manages to get released in this day and age, which is good, because it'll come as no surprise when I tell you that I think this is a great album. So let's do some description. Musically, I would say it's a cross between folk and singer-songwriter. It kind of lives in that area. There's a phrase "new folk," which apparently this has been associated with. Instrumentally, it's mostly acoustic guitar. There's some cello and some percussion going on, and the cello and the percussion are mostly used as ornamentation, which is an interesting use of the percussion particularly. So it's not there all the time, but the acoustic guitar playing is quite percussive at times. And it provides a bedrock for everything else that's going on. I have to say the guitar playing is really good, to the extent that I had decided on my first listen that it was probably one person singing and somebody else playing the guitar. I found it hard to imagine that somebody would be so good at both. But no, apparently it's Laura. Anyway, in addition to that, there's also some notes and effects and maybe some background noises that come in. Just little bits added from other instruments, little twinkle things, little bits of kind of Um, I'd say icing on the cake, but it doesn't cover everything. It's just kind of in between. It's like putting an olive in your salad, that sort of thing. It's beautifully produced, absolutely glorious in the sound, and it's done in such a way that it's actually really intimate. The voice is very close mic'd, and she's singing quite quietly a lot of the time, but picked up and brought, and it's as if she's singing directly for you into your ears. You do pick up some background noises, kind of like chair creaking kind of things, and that again adds to this atmosphere of it being kind of intimate. Musically, it's quite sophisticated. I think. Well, I liked it musically. The first four songs all roll together. They use there's some musical motifs that are used very much during the first four songs, but they keep coming back. There's a particular kind of rising thing with an interesting rhythm to it that comes into many of the songs through. I always like repeated motifs like that. It shows a kind of connected thinking about the music. There's some interesting rhythms at times. The structures are very much, it's not going to be kind of, verse, chorus, or, whatever you might imagine. It's just, she's going where she wants to with the songs. The singing, some of the time she's half singing, half talking. When she does sing, it's good. Sometimes she sings low and very quietly, and sometimes she sings high. In particular, her voice reminded me of, again, of people like Joni Mitchell, maybe, but also Norah Jones, who's more recent. Really nice voice, very expressive. So the whole thing the atmosphere is very acoustic. It feels very fluid. Things flow one into another. As I said before, the word intimate. It feels very kind of, excuse me, very kind of personal. It's kind of dark at times. There's a melancholy to it. There's a beauty to it. And the words, the lyrics, I'm not going to delve into them particularly, but they're quite thought provoking, and they paint pictures. So all in all, I really enjoyed this album, and I'm glad that I found it.
Take the night off. Hey, be bad for me. Take it right off.